own intro.
We thought we'd do it in style. So that was Steven Dewar, and Steven Dewar is with us today. So let's get him up and unmute him so we can actually hear what he's saying. Hi, Steven. It's lovely to have you on the show. Today we'll be talking about everyone's favorite musical instrument, the bagpipes. And you're obviously the hero of the bagpipes. You've been a professional player for about 20 years or even longer now?
That's correct, yes. Longer, actually. A lot longer.
Okay, we'll just pretend like 2 years.
Yes.
You only look like 22. It can't be that.
I wish it was. I'd be younger.
So tell us a little bit, how did it all happen? You're a Scot, so it kind of, but not every Scot learns to play the bagpipe. So how did it end up that you got into it?
Okay. Well, first up, I come from the Kingdom of Fife. I live in a town called Kirkcaldy. Yep. And so I apologise to your viewers if they struggle with my dialect, first and foremost. I'll try and talk nice and clear for you, but I may slip in some local dialect.
I think with YouTube they actually have subtitles as well. You can
exactly.
I don't know if that's Fife.
So Fife is the Kingdom of Fife is built on coal, and we did have lots of coal mines in Fife. Yeah. And I was attached to a pipe band called Bowhill Pipe Band. So I lived in a small village called Cardenden, and Bowhill was part of that. So back in the day, we used to go on holiday to Arbroath when I was a small lad, and there was a piper playing. And I said to my father, I would like to learn how to play the pipes. And luckily, the janitor at my local primary school was a world famous bagpiper. So I fell in quite lucky. And I got lessons from him every day at school from there on.
I think we actually have a lovely photo of you as a child in a nice little pair of white shorts with your bagpipes.
My sexy legs.
Oh,
look at you blowing away there, cheeks all puffed up.
On that note, we should be seeing your legs today, don't we? Shouldn't we?
Well, we'll see how it goes. I may get them out for you.
So today he's not, like Stephen already showed us. He didn't bring the white shorts from then, but he brought something else which everyone will appreciate later. So we'll keep that for later. Yeah.
So the photograph was taken out the back of my old house when I lived up in Dundonald. I used to be an addict. I used to practice constantly, and I would be out the back garden marching up and down the path, practicing my marching.
And what did the neighbours say?
Well, that's an interesting story. Some of the neighbours loved it.
Yeah.
But I had an old grumpy guy live next door to me who hated it. So he often threatened to chuck the bagpipes someplace I didn't want him to go.
Yes, would have been.
But it didn't put you off. That's at least something.
No, not at all. So I had lots of fun.
Just would have been slightly muted.
Okay.
The bagpipes would have been where he was putting them.
Well, unfortunately, they don't come with volume control.
No.
So then, and you ended up playing in bands then, or how did it go bigger and bigger? Because obviously you were unstoppable, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right. So I started off with the Bowhill Pipe Band, where this janitor happened to be the pipe major of the Bowhill Pipe Band. So I went down there. 1984 I started, so I was 8 years old, and I was quite a slow learner. I'm not a natural. Which is some people think is surprising, but it took me a long time.
Yeah.
In the pipe band, and it was a very small village pipe band, not a lot of members, so we were struggling for lots of years. The history of the band, though, in 1947, the band were the best band in the world. They were world champions. They were the first band to win the world championships. But in modern times, the decline of the mining in Fife played a part.
Yeah.
A lot of the miners contributed to the band funds, and when the money wasn't there, the band kind of went downhill. So we progressed with Bowhill. I stuck with Bowhill for a long time, and eventually Willie Smart came in, who is one of my idols. He came in as a new leader latterly, and we went on to win the World Championships again in grade 4. Which is one of the starter grades. And then we went to grade 3. And then at that point, I was doing well in the solos. I was winning some prizes. and I decided I had to further my career.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Willie understood that I had to go on and achieve as much as I could with the pipes.
Yeah. That's really cool. So nowadays, like you do it as a business now, right? So obviously, currently with the crisis, it's as hard as it is for everyone else. But what, like in a normal year, what is it where do you perform at? What is it you can?
Okay, so the business side of the piping, it takes me all over the world. I do, but most of my gigs are domestic in Scotland. I do weddings would be the lion's share of my business, and so I do weddings, I do funerals, I do corporate events, and then I do big stage productions as well. So lots of variety in my career.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess you really enjoy that, don't you? It's just it never stops to be in exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah, fantastic variety, and every day is different. That's one thing at the moment. We're not working so much in the current situation. It's that every day's the same. I'm like, what day is it today?
Yeah, who knows? I think it's Tuesday.
When I'm active, it's insane. The amount of times I go from black to white is crazy. I could be in a rainy crematorium, getting absolutely drenched one day, and the next day I'm on stage playing for 2,000 people, and it's just it's crazy. It's what I love about the job.
Yeah.
But both of them are equally satisfying.
Yeah. So do you still play in a band as much as you do your solo stuff, or?
Yeah. So from Bohill, when I moved on in the competitive scene, I went straight to grade 1 with the world famous Vale of Atholl pipe band. And they're based up in, originate in Pitlochry, but the band done a lot of practicing in Perth due to the players being from all over Scotland. But that all came about. I was doing music at school, and my examiner was Ian Duncan, the legend that is. And I kind of fell in love with the Vale music. We were very much an innovative band, and our style was out there. There was no one else playing the style of music that we played. So we're meeting Ian at the school. It gave me an in to phone him up and nervously ask to join his pipe band. So that was the next step in my career. A young lad, I had some of the best memories of my life in the band. We achieved prizes in every major championships in grade 1.
So the championships are all over the world as well, or are you talking about the Glasgow ones, or?
The championships, they tend to be in Scotland. We do have one every year in Ireland normally. We have had the European Championships in Belgium one time, which was fantastic. That's the only time I've managed to finish last in grade 1. The reason for that is the Belgian beer was so good.
You telling that to a German, like? Yeah. You can't drink Belgian beer. You have to drink German beer.
I can tell the story now, but the legend that is Ian had said to us at the time. I was a young guy in the band, and he said, "We'll allow you to go for a beer before we play, just one beer." So me and one of the other young guys, we went and had our one beer, and it was fantastic. So we had another beer and another beer, and then we came back, and the contest wasn't so great. So it was. Mainly Scotland with the Vale. I played with the Vale for many years. My goal was to win the World Pipe Band Championships in grade 1, and sadly we never achieved that. We came reasonably close, but we never quite got the Holy Grail. But I stuck to my beliefs, so we were playing fantastic music. Music that we enjoyed. I could easily have went away and joined another robotic band and won the World Championships, but I wanted to do it playing the music that we played. And
what
sadly,
was so different about it? It's just more modern and more. What was so different about it?
It was modern and cutting edges, breaks and things, an ensemble that other bands weren't doing at that time. We also had Ian's other famous brother in the band, Gordon Duncan, who's any folkie in the world will have known Gordon Duncan, and they'll know his music, etc. as well. So we were getting all the music fresh, so no one else had access. Gordon would actually turn up to the band with a roughly sheet of paper and say, "Listen to this," and it was, wow, this is fantastic. We're playing great music. So I had some great times in the Vale. We never won the Worlds, and I was becoming stale, unfortunately. I was growing the business at the same time, and it reached a point that I kind of thought we weren't going to win the World Championships. So it was time to move on. I had done my time. And the opportunity came to come back to Fife. I got my education in Fife. I'm a proud Fifer. And there was a super band getting formed in Fife. All of the best players in Fife were getting together. And that was working under the two Murray brothers and Drew Matheson. So it was too good an opportunity not to just give me a fresh impetus into my piping. So I went to that band, and we became the first pipe band in history to go straight in at the Premier level in Grade 1. There was assessors came out and they pumped us straight into Grade 1.
Okay.
So my first contest for the band, we went head to head with the Vale of Atholl pipe band.
Okay. So your previous one.
Yeah, so it was, and we ended up beating them in our first ever contest. we bet the Vale. So it was a weird day for me. And when the result came out, I actually sunk to my knees. I felt so bad because I was still a lover of the Vale, and it was like scoring a winning penalty in a cup final against the team that you support. It was mixed emotions that day. So the piping career, the competitive piping career, it moved on from Fife eventually. Again, I was losing it because I was so busy with the business. I was playing bagpipes every day in life. I quit the band, and then I got an opportunity a few years later to join a band from Canada called Peel Police. So I took that opportunity. I wanted to visit Canada, and there was a championships out there that I really wanted to win, the North American Championships. So I went over to play with Peel Police for a year in Canada. We had our first contest, and it was about a month before the North American Championships, and we ended up 4th. I was absolutely devastated. So
you're like, I'm not used to this. I'm used to winning.
Came all this way to win, and we got 4th. I was absolutely gutted. So I came back to Scotland, and I decided right then we were coming back to win this championships, and thankfully we did. At the first attempt, we won the championship. So that was kind of ticked off my list after that. So, I met some great guys in the band as well. I could go into that in more depth, but I realised we're kind of tight on time. After Peel, let me get this right. So I left pipe bands for ages, and then the opportunity came back to go back to Bow Hill, and we were starting again. So the band went defunct, and we decided to start the band up again, right at the bottom level. And Drew, who I previously mentioned, is involved in that now. So we've got that project ongoing at the moment with the Bow Hill, and my goal is to try and emulate the good days with Bow Hill, even if it's in the lower grades. If to bring the band back and maybe win a World Championships in a lower grade, that would be the goal. And then finally with the pipe band side of things, last year I've had an opportunity to get involved with a French pipe band. So this is the bagpipes is a world instrument. So I'm now playing with a band called Bagad Burbriac. They're a Celtic orchestra. So that's my competitive career in pipe bands.
So on the one hand it seems very competitive, but on the other hand it seems very, bringing people closer together, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I say this to corporate groups all the time when I'm explaining the pipe band scene, and I can basically go into any field in Scotland on a competition day, so Highland Games Day, and I know most of the people in the field. So I've literally got, I can go up to Inverness, go into a field, and I've got 100 friends in that field.
Yeah.
And then so it's like a touring circuit. You travel around about Scotland
Yes.
with your friends. It's fantastic. The amount of people that you get to know through the years is insane. It's a family. So the pipe
so
band
we know
world is
you
wonderful.
through Ronnie Bambury from Kingsfield Events, and obviously Bill Thompson.
Yes.
You've done events together, and obviously Ronnie usually organises the Highland Games, and you're a big part of that, then kind of piping in the games and doing that. So we've got a couple of pictures, don't we, of you in action. So we've got, Sean needs to quickly get the, so we've got Highland Games there. So we've got a picture of you there with Highland Games.
So the Highland Games there, I'll speak to a little bit about the Highland Games. So it's part of the corporate work I do here in Scotland. I met Ronnie several years ago through Bill Thompson, who you've had on your show. I was laughing because I watched Bill's chat and he was lying there on his bed.
Yeah, he was having a good time.
It summed up Bill perfectly. So yeah, so I met Ronnie through Bill, and I work with Ronnie now quite a lot at Kingsfield Events. We do our corporate Highland Games. So what we're doing with that is we're emulating the traditional Highland Games. We've got various events, heavy events at the games, and what I contribute to that is the piping. I also supply the Highland dancer. So you can see through the photo, we give the guests an immersive experience. So we let them sample, what I do is I let them sample the national instrument of Scotland, the bagpipe. So they all get a shot of blowing the pipe and squeezing the pipe and trying to get some noise out the pipes.
Yeah, it's not so easy, is it? People always think, oh yeah, I can do that, but then when you try to blow the pipes, it's like, if you've not done it before, you can't even get a sound out. Have you ever met anyone who's never done it before and gets a proper sound out of the pipes?
It does happen on occasion. It depends how good a mood I'm in. I can manipulate things to pick on people. So,
that's good, yeah.
But yeah, you do get it. You get some big strapping guys with big lungs.
Yeah.
And they can do it quite well. But similarly, sometimes the women as well. So it really, and determination plays a key part as well. So a lot of these people that we meet, they're high-end clients. They're very motivated people. They're very competitive. So they really want to give it a go. And I'm trying to put that across to them as much as possible. And really, I'm almost like a boxing coach.
That's true, yeah. Because I do think they just think like it's like a flute, but it's not. You know, you have to really...
Exactly.
It's more like a trumpet, really, or it's something like that where you have to have a skill, but it needs to come across. And it's kind of nice to see when people try it, because then you really learn to appreciate how much of a skill it actually is. You know,
I get feedback like that all the time that I've had no idea how difficult that was. And I've had, highly trained athletes, for example, trying the bagpipe and thinking, wow, man, how do you manage that? But it's all about a technique. And so latterly, I'll come on to you and explain that a little bit further. I do have a little treat for you here.
Good.
We'll do that.
Yes.
But when these visitors come to Scotland, it's fantastic. So my motto is you've got to breathe Scotland, you've got to eat Scotland, you've got to drink Scotland. You take all aspects of Scotland.
Yeah, so we've got Burns, haven't we? Like Burns in our picture.
But Robert Burns as well would be another thing that I enjoy putting across to clients with a kind of mock Burns supper, if you like. So they'll go for a nice gala dinner, and as part of that dinner there'll be a haggis course, and I'll go in and address the haggis. Robert Burns, the famous Scottish poet, would do the address to the haggis. And
the picture's amazing. You look like completely...
Yeah, you're going down on that haggis with the dagger, man.
Yeah, it's one of my party pieces. A lot of these foreigners that come into Scotland, well, in fact, 99.5% of them won't understand the address to the haggis. No. So the point to it is to get across the theatre and try and bring the story to life through your actions. And I like getting right next to people and go right into the whites of their eyes with it, the whole Scottish warrior thing comes through that
that everyone expects. Yeah.
Yeah, we're known as quite a tough group of people, you know, and very nice also. We get across to them that we're nice and tough. Sometimes at the games, actually, we have a lot of banter with the big heavies versus, there could be in a tug of war, we'll have one big heavy versus 6 of the group, and you know, we'll beat you, that sort of stuff. Goes on. But
I've been lucky enough to be at quite a few of the shows with Hello Scotland and that, and
exactly,
you know, all the team that, like, you guys and all of Ronnie's guys always put that 100%. You know, it's always good having.
I believe we're the best because we put our heart and soul into it. You know, we go that extra mile. We want to give them first class experiences, and it's like a drug. I know when I take a group of individuals, maybe say 10 people, and that 10 people come to me, and we might have 10 people as part of that rotation in the Highland Games, and I know within a minute if they're up for it or if they're not up for it, and how much I can push them and bring it out to them to make the experience the best as possible for them, and the clients love it as well. So they do, a lot of the time, I would say it's one of their highlights of coming to Scotland, because they're very competitive people by nature, and if, you know, it's the points are done out of 100. So how well you play the bagpipes, I'll score you out of 100. And if I give someone 95 and I give the other group 90, that group that got 90 will come back to me. Why'd you get him 95 and you only gave us 90? You know, it's like that sort of buzz going on about it.
It's also
another thing is
see their faces light up. You know, just being able to hold
exactly.
You know, they see the coordination as well. They think, oh, I'll just blow into this thing and squeeze it, and music comes out. And they're like, wow, it's actually quite complicated. And if you then go and a bit of AC/DC comes out of them or something like that, they're like, oh, this is cool.
You've heard me before. Yeah. That's one of the party pieces as well. Yeah, you're right that some of them are, you get the odd one, and there's always characters in every group. And again, you get a group of 10 people and you could pick the character within a minute. You know, and you know who that, and then you focus and you colour that character, and you know that they're so keen to get it done, and they're pushing like crazy, and then sometimes it's actually hard to grab the bagpipes from them.
You said you had a little party piece there for us. Is that a good time to kind of?
Yeah, if you want. So through Ronnie, I do the Highland Games, and but I also do this on my own. I've got a bagpipe workshop, and it's called Blaw. Blaw and Squeeze.
We got a picture of you actually doing one on a boat.
Okay, yeah. Well, the boat one. The reason I selected that photo for you was it was a fantastic experience. It was a wedding in Istanbul, and the night before the wedding, I was invited out to this boat, and it was a tour up and down the Bosphorus River, and the sunset was coming down, and it was one of these hairs on the back of the neck moments. So that picture I did a workshop on the boat, so that one it kind of showed the workshop, and it also showed a little bit of the pipes and traveling all over the world, and the different people that I do this workshop for. I could do it for children, so I've done quite a lot in primary schools. I can address kids at all ages, and it's tailored to suit. And I've had high-end boards of directors up at Gleneagles Hotel, so it's all spectrums. So at the moment, it might be a little opportunity to introduce you to my baby.
Go on then. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So earplugs at the ready.
We can put the mic volume down if needed. Okay, off you go.
Fantastic. Are you lovers or are you haters?
I like it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to reveal.
Boy, like I said, be careful.
So it's great. It's great to get back in the kilt again. I feel like Pipe Major Steven Dewar today. So I've also had a shave for you.
I haven't.
So
I know. We need to get this.
On the top bit.
You've got ginger though. You've got ginger. Mine's is just grey. So you look the part. It's looking good. So I'm going to get the bagpipes.
Go on then.
And here is one I produced earlier.
There you go.
So these are my favourite bagpipes. So I've brought them here today for you. So when I'm doing this workshop, the way I normally start it, well, it's all about the banter. The kind of there's a history element, but it's like a buy issue. I'm there to entertain. So I'm there to provide an experience, a learning curve, but the most important thing is to have some fun.
Yeah.
So we often do this over a dram of whiskey as well. So the gentleman might be coming in wearing the kilt for the very first time. That's another thing we do for them, and it basically turns them Scottish.
Yes.
So in the bagpipe experience, I'll sit them down, break the ice, and then I kind of start with the practice chanter.
Yeah.
So when you're learning to play the pipes, I would say to be a reasonably good piper, it takes about maybe 5 years. Unless you're like me and you're slow, it takes about 8 years. Yeah. But you're constantly learning. Even now, I'm constantly learning. So we start with the chanter. Are any of the two of you musical?
A little bit, both of us, yeah.
Ah, fantastic. So the chanter is got 9 notes on it, and it starts from G up to A. And the bagpipe is a weird instrument. It's one of the weirdest instruments in the world. It's in the key of B flat, but it's slightly above B flat. Yeah. So it's very difficult to play with other musicians.
Yeah.
So I'll come on to that a little bit more. But so it's a very odd instrument. So we're going from G. So our scale's got 9 notes. And it took me about maybe a month to do that. So yeah. When you're learning to play for about 1 year, you're on this chanter. You go through all the scales and embellishments, and then you play simple tunes, and then you're ready to hit the bagpipes. So. Mm-hmm. And so on and so forth. So, and then about a year later, you're ready to tackle the bagpipes.
Yeah.
Now, it'd be interesting, a word association game with a lot of your guests coming into Scotland. When you think Scotland, what's the first thing that comes into your head? Yeah. You know, is it the bagpipes? Is it the kilt? Is it the whiskey? But in actual fact, most people think the bagpipes are a Scottish instrument, but in actual fact, they originate way before Scotland.
Yeah.
They were in Scotland. They originate in ancient Egypt. Well, it's believed so, and that's around about 8 AD. And it's there are many forms throughout the world of bagpipe. So what I've got here is a Great Highland bagpipe. This would be about the 17th century by the time this bagpipe came along. And it was in Scotland before that, but the finished Great Highland bagpipe didn't arrive until about the 17th century, and the Scots invented it. So from ancient Egypt, it travelled throughout Europe, and it's thought that it was the Romans that brought the bagpipe to Scotland.
Okay.
So it was in Scotland. There is references. There is a very well-known saying, "Thee who pays the piper calls the tune." You probably know that one.
Yep.
Yeah. So in Edinburgh, there's written references. 1486. There was a small trio of bagpipers were employed by the city to go around and play around to entertain people, or maybe announce that there was going to be things happening publicly in the square, for example. And these people would randomly chap on people's doors. The pipers would randomly chap on your door, and you had to, by law, pay the piper. So if you didn't, then you would be in trouble with the law. So that's where that saying comes from. So that was some of the early uses in Scotland. It's got huge military attachments to the bagpipes. It's classified, or some people classify it as an instrument of war. So we had the Battle of Bannockburn. I know the bagpipes were used at the Battle of Bannockburn, for example, and the military associations with the pipes are still present today. As a result of the bagpipes being a war instrument, they were banned in Scotland in 1745. So anyone caught playing the pipes was the first offence was imprisonment locally, and the second offence was exiled overseas. So in 1746, did that happen? Yes.
Well, it could have been. The Scots Irish in our family in Australia, so obviously did something.
Fantastic. And that is that the roots? Is that how it happened?
No.
No.
That'd be good.
Okay. So it was part of the Jacobite uprising. The playing of the pipes was banned. The wearing of the kilt, outlawed, no longer allowed. So the playing of the pipes continued underground, and but anyone caught was liable for punishment. Latterly, when we were becoming the UK, the Black Watch were formed, the first of the Scottish military divisions, and the Black Watch ended up with bagpipers, and in the Black Watch we had the Black Watch pipe band, and I think it was a peacekeeping for the Scots to have the bagpipe as part of the British military then. So the playing of the bagpipes now is still present in the army. We have a lot of soldiers who've settled all over the world and taken their bagpipes, and I think for that reason, for that reason, the Scottish bagpipe is now the most famous bagpipe in the world. We also have the Edinburgh military tattoo, which does wonders as well for the bagpipe. So that's a little bit of the history. So I do that kind of chat in the workshop, and then what I do is I strip the bagpipes down. So there'll be a lot of people out there who have no idea how the pipes work. So I'm going to quickly show you how they work.
Oh, yep.
So all pipes are common by having a bag, and you are using the bag as an air reservoir. So the Scot has traditionally a sheepskin bag. The sheepskin bag, it needs to be moist. So if it's not airtight sealed, when you're trying to blow, the air would spout out. So it needs to be completely airtight. So what we do to do that is what the Scots used to do that is there's a very well-known Scottish product called whiskey. And the old pipers would pour the whiskey into the bag and give it a good lacquer, so it was covered in whiskey, and that created a sealant until someone latterly invented a much more boring product. So when you're playing the pipes, you blow through this piece, which is called a mouthpiece. And you might hear on the end of that there is a suction valve, which keeps the air inside the bag.
Okay.
So we never used to have that feature. So you used to have to use your tongue. So it would be, and you have a bag full of whiskey.
So you slowly got a bit high while playing.
Yes. So a lot of people think us bagpipers are alcoholics, and that is where that comes from. So you would blow,
and it would all come back. Yeah.
So you would get a kickback of the whiskey, but unfortunately someone invented this other product. So I'm going to show you now how to actually get some noise out of the bagpipes, and then when I see you in the flesh, you can come up to me and we'll
try.
Have you tried before?
I have tried unsuccessfully a few times.
Fantastic.
Strangely enough, living in Pitlochry.
Fantastic. You mustn't have had the right tutor.
No.
I will get it out of you. Even if I have to pick you up and squeeze your lungs, we'll get some noise.
There you go.
Okay.
You get something.
This is how it goes. So when you're blowing, that's the first thing is that most people don't know how to kind of breathe properly. So you've got to breathe from the lungs here, the diaphragm. Okay, so big belly for this. So you big and take a breath. So you're using your full lung capacity every time. Filling the bag full of air. Pushing it up. So there you go. So it's a lot. Thank you very much. It's a lot of air going in the bag there. And then it's a case of when you take a breath, you squeeze the bag, and that keeps the constant airflow going to the bagpipes.
And that's like the syncing of that is like the skill as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's when you hold the bagpipes, it's funny when people hold the bagpipes for the very first time. It's like handing a guy a baby and saying, "There you go," and they're like, "Oh," they don't know what to do, but they sit quite naturally. So this set of bagpipes here that I've got, I mentioned to you, these are my baby. I own 4 sets of bagpipes. These ones are my favourite, and the reason for that is these are very old. They're from 1910, and they were won in competition by my mentor, who I mentioned earlier, Willie Smart. His father won them in competition, and his father was a pipe major of the Bow Hill Pipe Band, so my band, and so Willie used to take me around the solos, and I used to play these pipes when he owned them, and then latterly he sold them to me, but for a very good rate, and the only reason he sold them to me is he said, I want to give something to my family. He says, I've had so much enjoyment out of these pipes, I want them to go to you. I just want a kind of modest price for them, and I'm going to pass that on to my family. So these are very special to me, the fact that they were my mentor's pipes. That's awesome. So I look after these. But a couple of times I've been to, he's now in sheltered housing, so I go to his sheltered housing. I've been a couple of times and playing his pipes, and before you go, you need to make sure the pipes are immaculate and sounding as good as they can to play for them. So they're very special. You find that with most pipers, though, that they become very attached to their bagpipe.
Well, of course.
So for the married guys, I don't know where it would rate in comparison to the wife. What's more important? Yeah. So,
okay.
So yeah, that's
if you're about to marry a piper, you know where you stand, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And don't expect to see the piper any weekend between May and September. Yeah.
So we have a few pictures because we're kind of over the time now. So let's make sure we show all the pictures we wanted to show.
So we've got a photo of you in New York. So
I can move on slightly then if you want. But that was
awesome. Yeah. So you do the workshops during the corporate events, but you also do workshops on the side for people who actually want to learn to play, right?
I don't do lessons per se, so you couldn't come to me for 10 lessons.
But like for a fun workshop, you could.
Yeah, it's a one-off experience, and there's lots of fun anecdotes and things in there as well. So it's all about taking something away, learning something. Hopefully, some of your viewers learned a little thing there. And enjoying the experience.
Yeah.
So that's what the workshop's all about. Yeah. I used to do the more serious thing, but it's not my bag. I'm all about entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another traditional thing here in Scotland also is having a piper at your weddings.
Yeah.
I do. Weddings are the core of my business. I do lots of weddings. I think Madonna was instrumental in highlighting Scottish weddings, and it became cool to get married in Scotland, I think, after Madonna, and have a bagpiper at the wedding. So I do about well, I manage. I'm an agent for other pipers as well. So we do about 500 weddings a year. So we're constantly doing weddings. So it's my bread and butter. Through the business, we do lots of other things as well, discos and dance floors and anything wedding related. We do through the business. So yeah, that's another aspect of the business. Lots of travelling throughout the world. To touch on some of the highlights for the travelling, one of my first trips abroad was to promote Cutty Sark whisky in Athens, and it was back in my Vale of Athol days. And so I was quite a young lad at the time, and it was over Christmas, and we went to Athens, and I was sharing a room with one of the senior guys in the pipe band, and we went into the room, and there was 2 big bottles of Cutty Sark. One bottle at our bed, each bed had a bottle of Cutty Sark whiskey. So he was like, "Dewar, keep your hands off the whiskey." So fantastic. That was we were there through Christmas. I had Christmas dinner with a shorts and t-shirt on, and in a pub, and eating a hamburger instead of turkey. Yeah. We played under the biggest Christmas tree in Europe. It was live on TV. So that was my kind of first experience of travelling. You've got I gave you a couple of pictures there. There's one in China.
Yeah.
So that one I've done a few.
Oh, you had hair then.
I had hair. I was an old picture. Yeah, it was starting to go. That particular trip, I think it was 2005. That particular trip. So it was a long time ago. So I'm actually probably fitter now than I was back then. Actually, it's weird. We went to the Great Wall of China. That particular time we were over, again, it was a whiskey thing. Bagpipes and whiskey always go together. We were over promoting a Chinese brand of whiskey called Matisse whiskey. And we're actually sitting in the bar with Mr. Matisse drinking Matisse whiskey. It was crazy.
As you do.
And we got paid to drink whiskey and to be seen drinking whiskey. We had lots of models, beautiful women following us everywhere we went with miniature bottles of whiskey, throwing it out to everyone. So it was a weird trip, but the reason I selected that picture on the Great Wall is I did that off my own back. When you go to China, you've got to take the chance to go to the Great Wall and walk up the wall. So I didn't realise how unfit I was. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's nuts. So I was literally like about 10 steps at a time, and I wanted to play the bagpipes at the top of the Great Wall. And so we're decked out in the kilt. It's about 30 degrees, it's roasting, and I'm panting. I'm having to stop every 10 steps. And the steps on the wall, they're so rugged and uneven and things. It's a crazy incline, and we only had an hour to do it. And that was to get up and to get back down, because it was part of a tour. We were doing other things, so we didn't quite make it to the top. But to play the bagpipes at the wall was incredible experience. That for me it's all about life experiences for me. I like to do different things all the time and move on and what's next. So it was fantastic. I also put another slide there of Tartan Day in New York. Yeah. And that's another trip. America's very special for me. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but I'm absolutely infatuated with America. And I first went to America in 2002. And I literally, when I got to America, I don't know why, I went down and kissed the tarmac when I came off the plane. It was like a kind of, I don't know, I've made it. I'm in America. Yeah. So I've been to America now, lots of times, and I've played in Tartan Days in New York and Boston. So I put that picture up in New York because New York's my favourite city in the world.
Tartan Day is always a big thing, isn't it? Like, obviously this year it was postponed.
Yes.
But yeah.
It's a shame, but the Tartan Day, it's insane over there. The people, the Americans get so much into it, and they want to talk to you, they want to absorb you, everything about you. Tartan Day itself, you donder about from pub to pub, and you take the bagpipes, you're wearing the kilt.
Do people come up to you and say, "Can I play them?" And actually, do you mind, or is that kind of awkward?
I promote it as much as I can. You know, I cherish my bagpipes. I'm careful about it, but I like talking to people. I'm kind of I'm an ambassador for Scotland. When I'm traveling, I'm an ambassador for Scottish culture. And bagpipes. So I'm
I just kind of
Scotland.
figured, you know, like you were saying earlier with your wife, you know, if someone came up, "Can I kiss your wife?" You'd be like, "No." So can they play with your bagpipes, or is that different?
I'm okay with it. I mean, very rarely it would depend the person. If someone was maybe too drunk or
but in general, if some stranger came and said, "Can I try to play them?" you wouldn't mind.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Things might change with the current situation.
True.
I've thought about that and how we change things up in the future for my workshops, for example.
Okay.
On the whole, it's okay for me. I like them to take the cultural experience. So very quickly, just touching on some other trips. China, I mentioned there. I've been to. There's another trip I went to China. I opened a golf club, and it was St Andrews Golf Club in Zhengzhou. That was another kind of weird experience, which great. I mean, the experience could be bad or it could be great. I love them because they're an experience. And that was the opening of a golf club. I was staying in this hotel. There was no one about, no one. And when I first arrived there was a big kind of banqueting hall with the workers, and I was to go in and get my meal and stuff, and not a soul spoke English. I'm there, and they only had chopsticks, and I'm not very cultured. I didn't know how to work the chopsticks, and it was crazy. And it was I was over there. It was my mum's birthday at the time. It was her 60th birthday. That's one thing with the travelling about. A lot of the time you miss family occasions. So that was a weird trip, but a fantastic experience.
Music is, that's the thing, is it's like a universal language, isn't it? It brings people together, because even if you can't communicate via language, you can still communicate via music, and that kind of brings it all together, doesn't it?
I went. Well, I had my own tour guide on that trip, so she took me to different places. I went to the Shaolin Temple and watched the monks and stuff like that. It was incredible. And one of the days, or one of the nights, I got picked up in a golf caddy, and I was taken into the woods, and it was I was going for a meal, and by this point it was one of the organisers who I can have a chat with, and they said we're away to this outback kind of lodge to have some dinner, and it was dinner with some of the workers, and we're sitting around a big table, and all the food, Chinese banquet was laid out, and it was getting passed about, but they all kind of treated me like some sort of god. They all wanted a piece of me, and photos and stuff like that. And some of the Chinese food, it's amazing. And the food in China is the difference between Chinese food in China and Scotland is night and day. And some of the things they were asking me to eat, it was like an episode I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. It was
you didn't know what you were having.
So that's the reason I kind of put down that trip as one of my highlights as well.
Then also really good to come home. You know, we've got a lovely photo here of Queen's View.
I love coming home.
So I mean, that's a great photo of you there, standing in Queen's View in full regalia.
That was the first time I'd ever seen the Queen's View.
You could see it. It's the bonus.
It's hairs in the back of the neck stuff. When I get a moment like that, it's phenomenal to play bagpipes, knowing that setting's next to you. We've just got so many places in Scotland like that, and even someone who's on the game and travelling to loads of country mansions and different castles and ruins and landscapes, there is constantly new stuff to discover in Scotland. So when I get a setting like that, I'm in my element. It's literally hairs in the back of the neck.
And now there's a lot of modern aspects to Scottish music now. You've got guys like the Red Hot Chili Pipers, and of course you got Runrig and things like that. We've got a great shot of you on stage like right next to a guy in a kilt wailing away on a lead guitar there, and
okay.
You know, you said it's hard to match with other instruments, but obviously it's been able to do it quite successfully.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to come on to. The 9 years ago, I got approached and was asked to put together a Scottish show, and it's called the Scottish Music Parade. And originally I turned it down because the promoter from Germany came across and met me, and I felt it was just too big a project, and it was high pressure. We were going to be playing for thousands of people, 2,000 people a night, and I just thought it's too much with my knowledge at the moment. And he convinced me to give it a go. So I gave it a go, and then we put that show together. So I managed the cast in Scotland. I put the show together, all the different music and stuff, with a lot of help, I must say. We've got a team, but I kind of pull all the strings and get the team working together. So we've been touring Europe with that show now for 9 years. We're well over 100 concerts.
And how many shows do you have then per year?
Per year, we're around about 25 to 30 with the Scottish Music Parade. We've just started last year. We're doing some outside concerts now as well. So big amphitheatres. It's history. You wouldn't believe. I don't know if you've done much travelling in Germany, but some of the castles and landscapes in Germany they're crazy. So again, it's fantastic to be playing.
The backdrop will be amazing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they have lots of outdoor theatres because outdoor cinema is a thing in Germany.
It's huge.
There's a reason it's not a thing here.
It's coming here. I believe it's coming here in the next couple of months. I've already had an email asking about that sort of thing in Scotland, so I think it's coming. Yeah. But a little bit more about the show. So I got the offer for the show. I had a Ceilidh band here in Scotland. That's another thing I do is Ceilidhs at weddings.
Of course,
Great fun, getting great for foreigners coming into Scotland as well. So I had the Ceilidh band, so I had the bassist. And then from that Ceilidh band, we expanded the band, we made it bigger, we brought in some singers, and then we needed, the Germans absolutely love pipe bands. So the pipe band is the key to the show. So we brought it's a 32-piece pipe band, so it's a huge pipe band that we take across. And we also incorporate some Highland dancers, and they brighten up all the cast. Hopefully maybe one or two of them will listen. So hi ladies. And, so they brighten the whole thing. And it comes together, so it's a 2-hour show. We spoke about the keys and things with the bagpipes, and they're very difficult to play with other instruments. So what we do is we adapt the other instruments to match the bagpipes. So we detune. You'll hate that, Sean, but we detune the other instruments to match the bagpipes.
Well, my old band used to detune to match our singer, so...
fantastic. The singer will love that,
yeah.
That's how that works. And then I also have another bagpipe which is fully electronic, and that comes with guitar pedals. So I front the band, and when I'm doing solo stuff, I'm using pedals and different effects and things with the other bagpipes. So
we've got a guy in Western Australia called the bagpiper who has flames that shoot out of his as well. So
see the amount of times I've been sent that videos and saying it's like I've seen it. Yeah. But yeah, fair dues, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers as well. They've been fantastic.
Like as an ambassadors, because people just love it. Yeah. That's cool,
Taking the I think what they called one of their albums, was it the New Generation or something, or the Celtic Generation. So it's basically like taking youngsters and introducing them to the pipes. They think that's really cool, but then when they start to learn, they go to a pipe band, and the pipe bands are great at giving them a traditional background, and then we'll introduce you to the 21st century music. But has now been an old piper. So doing the tour now 9 years. I used to be one of the young guys. Now I'm one of the kind of senior guys, and I see the youngsters coming up, and over, which is great news for Scotland. Over the last 10 to 20 years maximum, the level of piping is going from here up to here. It's so much better.
Yeah. Especially in Scotland itself too, because so many years it was always Canadian, New Zealand, Australian pipe bands who were winning the titles, and now this year Inverary, I think.
Inverary, a fantastic story. It's the same story as the Vale of Atholl, actually. The Vale done the exact same thing. The only thing they didn't do that Inverary did is they won the big one, the World Championships in Grade 1. But Stuart Liddell, he heads up Inverary, and a fantastic story, taking kids from the very bottom now up to the high ends of Grade 1. So it's great for Scotland, because Scotland, we had a band.
If it brings the youth back to doing it, that's the most important thing, isn't it? If it's not an old tradition that dies out, but like you said, and you can totally see it, wherever you go, the first ones to come out and play on the market spaces, like we are as tourists, they're always the tiny ones, the kiddies.
Yes.
And that's nice to see, because it's obviously something that Scottish kids are proud of, or kids who grow up in Scotland want to be part of, which is good. That's something to keep it alive. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, it's part of our heritage. It's a key identity of Scotland. So I think it's important that we have as many people embracing it as possible, wearing the kilt. I mean, I remember the first time I ever wore a kilt. I remember the first time I ever wore the full Highland regalia. And even now, when I'm on my travels around the world, not so much in Scotland, I can walk down the high street in Scotland in full regalia and I won't bat an eyelid. But when I'm walking down the high street in Croatia, I'm walking 10 feet tall. I'm Scottish. This is my identity. I think I could be biased, but I think we've got the best culture in the world. I think we've got the best identity in the world. I think
you're right. It is one of those.
It's instantly recognizable too.
Yeah, but also brings joy into people's faces. It's just, people just love it. It doesn't. There's no negativity with it. It's the pride, but it's a positive thing. People, like you said, people come up to you and say, "Wow, I love this." The kilt does have that effect, but the same with bagpipes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I think
I say where I love.
And we should
wrap it up. I think.
We should wrap it up, and we should hear you
hours.
play one more time. Right?
Okay.
We've got nice. Just to quickly, if you want to do full screen, to quickly say, if next week we'll be talking about more Scottish stuff, because next week we're going to have Justine on Tuesday, and we'll be talking or drinking whiskey. I won't be, but that one has to. We will be talking about Scottish whiskey. So if you want to tune in next week, same time, Tuesday, 12 p.m. Thank you, Stephen, for everything, and we'll show you in action one more time on the way out.